Okay, that's my intro. Hello and good evening. Star Trek Prodigy Season 2 is over, but it's only half over for us as we are continuing our four-part installment to cover all of Season 2. This is our second installment covering episodes 6 through episodes 10 of Star Trek Prodigy Season 2. I'm Dave Mader, and welcome to Live Long and Podcast for our live stream review here on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitch, or you might be listening to us on the audio version. Got a great panel here that I'm in cat's boots with once again. We got Davan Skelhorn with the cat himself.
Well, this is embarrassing. I read that as episode 6 minus 10, so I actually only watched episode minus 4.
Oh, I see. So it's kind of one of those time paradox problems.
Yeah.
Right. We might have to get one of those.
We'll muddle through.
Yes. We'll have to go. And of course, we have Jessica Chan with us once again tonight. Hello, Jessica. Adventures in Babysitting. Love the shirt.
Yeah, thank you. It's actually a Stranger Things one. It's not the movie. It's like that's Steve, and then.
Oh, I think the zombies or something.
No, it's Stranger Things. It's
Stranger
Steve
Things
with the kids from.
Gotcha. Well, very good. Excited to talk about these particular 5 episodes with y'all. I thought we might have Chris Murphy with us, but I don't know where he is.
Dead to us. I said it last week.
Come on, Murph. Your
Where's
name's
the Murph?
the show.
Where
we only
is
have
the
one Murph.
We can only have one Murph, maybe.
And he's gooey.
We're breaking this all down. Guys, spoilers. Everyone out there, if you haven't seen these episodes,
Go
we're going
watch
to talk all about them. The episodes in question are Imposter Syndrome, The Fast and the Curious, Is There in Beauty No Truth, and then The Devourer of All Things, Parts 1 and 2.
Guess what one's my least favorite?
Your least favorite is either The Imposter Syndrome or The Fast and the Curious?
The Fast and the Curious, yes.
The Fast and the Curious. Yeah, we're going to talk all about these. And Jessica, how did you feel about these 5 episodes?
Good. I liked it. It was fun. Good ride. I feel like this chunk was like supposed to be the mid-season break after like they did last time. Like the episode 10 definitely felt like a finale of sorts. Like, and you're supposed to kind of wait for the next part. So I felt like this kind of now brings this section to a close, I guess. That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah, first half of the season, I suppose. Yeah. And and I haven't gone past this episode, episode 10 rather, so I don't know where they're going or what's going on here. But Davan, Wesley Crusher, he's back.
Oh, was he ever?
Yeah.
I'm all in now, but these episodes were a lot better for me than the last 5. Yeah. I mean, except for the Fast and the Curious. I mean, that was just a Star Wars pod racing episode. I didn't really need it.
I watched. I said 2 things. I was like, "Now this is pod racing," and I was like, "Davan is gonna hate this."
Didn't need it. Didn't do anything for me. So, I mean, it was funny to see the K's on, I guess. But they keep showing up in this in strange places.
Are we ever happy to see the K's on? Really?
It's fine. But it was great to see Wesley. The last 2 episodes were really good. You know what? The last 3 episodes that we watched were really good. The first one I liked too, actually. It was just that clunker in the middle, I thought. But yeah, we'll get into it.
Yeah, well, I'd say for me, the least favorite was probably the Imposter Syndrome, just because I couldn't keep track of who was a hologram and who wasn't. I guess that's kind of the point of what they're going for. But
that's what I liked about it. Because normally when they do those scenarios in shows, it's usually obvious.
Yeah,
like, you know which one's the best. Yeah, this one it wasn't. So I was just like, this is bonkers. And I liked it.
I even had to get into an explanation with Michael because, like, I'm not understanding. Like, he can just read their minds. And I was like, no, Michael, you don't understand. One can't read the other one. They're 2 separate groups. They don't know.
Yeah, Zero can read the hologram's minds, but and the real Zero can read the real minds, but not vice versa.
Yeah, Michael was like, well, that will tell you who's who. And I was like, no, it only tells you that they're not on your side, but it doesn't tell you which side you're on.
Jacob assumes he's the duplicate, like, just because he's kind of defeatist in that way. It's like, oh no.
See, excessive maintenance. Oh no! See, now I'm the hologram because I'm out of.
Oh no, hologram Jessica's blurry.
Uh-oh. Some schmutzer on the camera lens. maybe.
Out of focus.
No, I don't know what I did.
Oh, it's kind
there
of
you go.
it's trying.
It's often a light thing.
I'm the imposter. There we go.
There we
I'm
go.
not gonna move.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm the
But
hologram.
I think the thing I was left most excited by was, I guess the stuff with Wesley, him explaining the Traveler group or the organization a little bit.
They're
more.
gone.
Well, the Temporal Wars, have which aren't till like the 28th century, I believe, or 29th. But Wesley's kind of not really stuck in any particular time period anymore, as he explains in this episode. We know that they're kind of connected to the supervisors, the Gary Sevens, and them, because that was kind of set up in Picard, Jessica's favorite Star Trek show. That was
a clunky connection, though, I gotta say.
Well, yeah, but they're sticking with it. The Gary Sevens work for the Traveler group, which apparently includes Wesley and a few others, I guess, but not how. It seems like not many.
Not anymore. He says they all fled our universe.
They went to a different dimension.
He says our universe.
Is that different than that dimension?
Yes.
What's the difference?
Well, there are many dimensions within our universe. They left our universe.
There are many dimensions within our universe.
Yeah,
they left all of that. They left our universe.
They, like multi. Now they're going into like Marvel multiverse kind of idea, I guess.
Right.
No, I think it's more than that. I just think like we haven't speculated much what's beyond our universe. We talk about different galaxies and stuff, but like what's beyond our universe, that's kind of big.
Wasn't
big
that
range
kind
stuff.
of the first episode of that we saw the Traveler in? Like they went beyond warp 10 or whatever, and then they were in that part where like
they're in that space
invented-
between.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
Picard's grandma was there and stuff, and they were like, "You're not."
Yeah,
ready.
they're probably there. That's probably where
Not
they're
there
at.
yet.
Yeah.
But that was still the same universe, wasn't it? Or...
I thought they said that was beyond the universe. He said it was like beyond. It's the space between the universe and something else or something.
Oh,
Where
they
thought becomes reality, which is what he
Yeah.
used in this episode. Thought. Ah.
so
Time,
like-
space, thought.
right. So okay, so just so I
Awesome.
understand this, so because Wesley starts talking about, he's like, well, they've got the mirror universe, and then he references the Kelvin incursion, basically the Narada incursion, which is basically the Chris Pine version. Is that the same universe then?
Those are different universes.
Those are like a multiverse, like Marvel.
That's a multiverse thing.
Like
Like
a
they
what
could
if-
be multiverse hopping. I just took it as something a little different. Like
So if the
Jessica was saying,
Traveler-
like from the TNG episode, that thought space place.
If the Traveler left our universe, then he could be in the mirror universe.
He could be. I just don't think that's what they were implying, but it's possible.
Is it because you're just saying that they fled because they figured this timeline was dead? Because they're saying these things are coming to eat it, like their universe is dead, not the timeline. This universe was going to get eaten by those things. Is that why they left, or they had already left?
They'd already left
Oh.
because Wesley seems to imply that there's that we know that there's like this big time war that comes later in the Star Trek timeline that more towards the 29th century, and by the time we get to Star Trek
Daniels
Discovery,
and all that.
past Daniels. By the time we get to Star Trek Discovery, that's over. Time travel is basically, and temporal technology has been banned because the temporal wars got so out of hand. So I guess Wesley and them were involved in that in some way, and what exactly the result of that is still kind of cloudy in Star Trek lore. But it seems like
They'd locked away the Daleks, right? And then no.
well, interesting you bring that up because I couldn't help but feel like I guess they're trying to make Wesley the Doctor Who of Star Trek. That's kind of what it felt like to me.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like it was just, is that just not Will Wheaton?
Maybe.
Not that he's Doctor Who, but I just felt that it was just, he was full Wheaton in this episode.
Yeah, he was full weed and he wasn't holding back.
Mhm, mhm.
You know, what would you know?
I'm with
Focus,
Starfleet.
Jessica.
We don't lie.
I don't know what
Yeah.
I'm doing wrong.
It was interesting because we just recovered the episode Justice on our TNG podcast the other night, which also
Did we ever?
has a lot of Wesley Crusher in it. You know.
About this long, this thick.
Yeah, exactly. And then and then we hear older Wesley in this episode. You know,
It's sort of like your favorite sweater.
sort of like your favorite sweater.
Does anybody need a sweater? I have got more sweaters than you would believe.
Now that I thought about it, I was like, yeah, I guess he wore a lot of colorful sweaters, but I never thought of that as integral to his personality. I didn't realize that was a Wesley thing.
It's kind of we referenced that on the podcast already. We've only covered 8 episodes of TNG, and we're like, well, where is this man getting his sweaters from? You know, so we're gonna break it all down, guys. Okay, I guess no time but the present, pun intended, to get into these. So let's go with episode 6 first, titled "The Imposter Syndrome," and we'll break down that episode, see if there's anything different about that one. You know, and refresh our memory here. Okay, so boom.
Every
Imposter
Trek needs
Syndrome.
its Freaky Friday-ish kind of thing.
I guess that's what this one was. You know, Diandra Pendleton Thompson wrote it, directed by Sung Shin. As the episode starts off with this cold open with Dal running away. Turns out from his friends, the other Prodigy crew members here, and we're not really sure what's going on until he's kind of cornered here, and it seems like they've all been mind controlled or something, and they're coming to get him, and it seems quite scary. And then we go to a 24
Do cold opens work for you? Do anything for you guys? Like those kinds of cold opens?
Like
do
they build excitement, or
yeah, do they make the story you're about to see after that any better while you're watching it? Or what I think it's more like is they make it worse because you've now seen that scene, but it's not going to be like that. So you can look at that scene, and as you're watching the episode unfold, it starts to become obvious what that scene was like before you should know it. And I don't know. It's just, to me, those cold opens, that whole style doesn't really work for me.
I think it's overused. I agree, and I feel like okay, it's another one of these where we get a sort of a scene out of context, then we go to 24 hours earlier or whatever, however much time before it is, and then they're going to explain to us how that we got to that point. By the time we get there, we go, oh, now it makes sense. But I wouldn't say it's this. I have this great moment, maybe the first time I saw it done on a TV show, but not since.
It's always obvious that it's never going to be exactly what it is that they showing it to be. Yeah.
So we go to we catch up 24 hours earlier. The doctor's talking to the Prodigy crew here. Trying to remember what he was saying. Oh, you guys are doing so well in your studies.
He's showing up to tutor them. He's like their tutor. He shows
like
up
their
every
tutor
now.
now.
Try to tutor them. Yeah.
Is this where they come up with their plan to maybe go and try and save Chakotay? I'm trying to remember what this scene was.
We're gonna steal the Infinity. And
this is where they think all the stuff up, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So what if we make? Well, we got to steal the ship and run away. But what are we gonna do? They'll know that we're gone. What if we make holograms of ourselves? But then we see that the holograms are not too convincing or bright. So they ask Rock to help reprogram the holograms to make them better. Apparently they do a Moriarty and they do they go too far with it and make the holograms a little too convincing.
Sinister. Holograms always get sinister.
Very quickly. We see here Dal and Gwyn talking about stealing the ship. Then they run into Commander Tysus, who says, "Look what I found! A tricorder on the ground, left carelessly there."
I like Tysus. He's growing on me.
Yeah, I like Tysus too. Where they, I don't know, they say something to him about, I don't know, he laughs at what they say here. Maybe I deleted that image, but whatever excuse they make up, he's like, that's whatever.
Oh, you could just put it on the
Subtitles.
Like cloak it, and then you.
Oh yeah, because it's a cloak ship. They're like, we have to get rid of it because it breaks all these treaties with the Federation. Why don't you just cloak it? No one will know. He goes, that's a good thought.
But we're not doing that.
We're not doing that. No. You're so right that this the Infinity reminds me of the Nebuchadnezzar from the Matrix. Now the more I look at it, so they go back to the holodeck where they see like the old bridge of the Protostar. Have a little bit of nostalgia here for their old days, and then they meet the holograms of themselves, who quickly become rivals for them. As they're programmed and they know everything that they know, that the Prodigy crew know, and they quickly become suspicious of each other and sort of competitive with each other.
Except for Rock Talk is fine.
Except for Rock Talk. Rock Talk is not in such a...
They just come running down the hall holding hands later, like the two rocks. It's
yeah.
so funny.
That's funny. So then the doctor wants to show Admiral Janeway, look what my great tutoring has done with the kids. Let me show you. But they can't get into the holodeck right away. They're waiting to be let in. And then Janeway does an override here.
But before that, she's like, "This is Admiral Janeway. I would like to come in now." They're like, "Yep, just a minute." Like normally in TNG or any other show, they just walk in. Like, an admiral would just like not wait even 5 seconds at that door. Like,
well, and Bashir said it should be illegal to walk into somebody's holodeck program while it's running. And,
I gotta say, in real life, if there were real holodecks, I don't think that would a mistake that people would make more than once, because I figure they walk into a lot of things you don't want to walk in on.
Yeah, because I remember Captain Freeman in Lower Decks says to Ransom, "Is that a lot going on? Are people using the holodecks for sex?" He goes, "Oh yeah, it's mostly that."
It's mostly that.
There's an episode where Boy to Dr. Tiana and he could hear the holodeck. Jax.
Diane's her sex name.
That's why the biggest punishment is to clean those holodeck filters.
Yeah, because they have to collect the organic materials left behind.
Oh my.
But that's not the duty you want to get, the shift you want to get. So I don't know. They get Janeway off the scent here. Give her a cup of coffee. They get all the holograms hide, or do the real people hide? Or I can't even keep track of who hid and who didn't. One of each version, I suppose. And what else? This is where like the holograms kind of turn on them and lock them in the holodeck. But I don't even know if it was fully the holograms who did this,
or any of them. Like it's all pretty confusing.
It's all confusing. It could be. I feel like it's mixed and matched here, where like some of them are holograms and some of them aren't on the team. But they get out and they're like, okay, how are we going to do this? Everyone track down your doppelganger and get to this. So that's kind of what breaks into the next. Here, Dal runs into Zero.
It's like, hey, you're not the real Zero. Like he immediately forgets his own plan of tracking down his own doppelganger. He's like, I'm gonna go after this Zero.
Right. And then we got Dal versus Dal next. Then you get off the communications. No, you get off the communications. Get off this frequency. Murph and the Doctor here. Oh yeah, and then we have Zero, or is it the hologram Zero? I'm not sure. Runs into Majel. Mm-hmm. Is that her name? And I missed this in the previous podcast, but I was like, oh yeah, they're totally shipping these two, Zero and and Majel, which kind of makes sense because they're both telepaths.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Vulcan characters, they always make interesting.
Yeah, and then they give the Jankum Pog versus Jankum Pog milkshake replicator thing. Then we get in this next scene. Who could even fix this? Oh, you can't fix this.
It's like, I got some butterfingers happening here.
And then Jankum Pog runs into Counselor
Noam.
What's his name?
Noam.
I thought he was a doctor, but I guess he's a psychiatrist or a counselor.
He's a counselor. He's Counselor Noam. But it's hilarious that they have a Tellarite counselor.
A Tellarite counselor, yeah. It wouldn't be like the profession you would assume.
Walking into the office, he's just like, I think you're crazy and unfixable. He's like, whoa.
And untreatable. I always forget it's Jason Alexander too, who does the voice for him.
Is this the part where he's just like, yeah, not my problem?
Not my problem. And then he goes to the holodeck and he's like, computer, extra bubbles for the hot tub or whatever. So it was good. That was a good beat. Then we get the Rock Talk in the Cetacean Ops as they're like, well, maybe we could come up with a plan. And they're all just happy to work together. Then we get to the scene that started the cold open, which is, Dal running away from everybody and being cornered by, Jankum and all of them until the tension gets broken with the two Rock Docs who come running hand in hand.
Wait, you guys, we found a plan.
Wait, we figured it out. And they're all hugging and stuff like that. Well, here's our plan, but everyone has to agree to it. We'll just reboot the holograms and erase our idea of the mission so that the holograms won't try to do the mission on their own. Okay, let's do that. And then they reset the holograms, and
Jacob's surprised. Jacob's like, "Yeah!"
It even reboots the Doctor, who was in sickbay at the time, and Noam's holodeck program. He lost his page in the book. So we see the I don't know who was the hologram and who wasn't.
It wasn't like they weren't grouped correctly. So I think the doll that she saved was actually the fake doll. I think that's one of them was holding the hand of the wrong one.
Oh, that's right. Because they were holding hands, and then she was the one she was holding left, but they didn't know the difference. They couldn't tell the difference in none of them, And then they run into the Doctor again, but they're helped by Majel, who says, "Will you tell me more about your opera singing, please?" So Majel is I guess becoming like the next member, the 7th member of the Prodigy crew.
She's the Talin, the Vulcan that shows up a little after the fact and joins the crew.
She's the Talin of this show. Yeah, exactly. He's like, well, I would love to. They're like, you don't like singing? She's like, well, I thought you guys needed a hand. So she's going outside of that Red Squad vibe, and she's looking to go with them.
She knows Red Squad's bad. She's like, I got in with the wrong crew here.
Yeah, I think she knows that. So then they steal the Infinity, or the Infinity's flying away. I can't remember how they get on it.
They have a little transport chick.
Oh, they have a transporter of some kind.
Emergency transport, I think that's what they said.
Yeah, it was like masked. They masked their transport.
Well, that's fancy. And then so Janeway and Tysus think that the ship flies off, the Infinity ship flies off into this blue sun, and then Janeway tells us, "Oh, Chakotay always loved a blue star." I was like, "He did? Right.
Loved him.
Yeah,
loved him."
Kuchimoya.
That's right.
Kuchimoya means blue sun.
Blue sun.
He's been talking about him the whole time, and we didn't know.
We didn't know. This was Chakotay's star of choice.
Yep.
The blue giant. Anyway, so they're off there. The holograms are, and then the holograms, do they get damaged here by the end, or their personalities get switched up?
Yeah, they get scrambled.
That happens at the end of this episode. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically Dal has the 0 personality, and I don't know, and I think, does Gwyn get the Murph personality?
I think so. And then 0 I think has to be American. They swap. They have to do the others'
swap accents.
Rock Talk is Jankum.
Yeah.
Right. So that ends that's episode 6, the Imposter Syndrome. Not bad, it was not bad. Kind of for an episodic episode that still continues the main plot. Not bad. So then we go into episode 7, which was Davin's favorite, the Fast and the Furious, or the Curious.
Might as well have been the Fast and the Furious.
The Fast and the Flurious, maybe. The Fast and the Curious, written by Aaron McNamara, directed by Sung Shin and Sean Bishop. As we see now, the crew they've got the Infinity. They are traveling, I guess, at hyper speeds. Can't can't remember what else happens here in these openings.
They have a race.
They have a race.
Moving on. There's not much to say in this one.
They for whatever reason divert course to meet up with these Kazon guys. Oh, they find the transwarp conduit here.
The better stuff's on Voyager in this episode.
Right. But how'd they find the transwarp conduit? Did they just happen upon it?
Yeah, their sensors found it.
Okay. They didn't know beforehand, right? So
No,
they're
I don't
using
think
that to
so.
travel. I guess this takes them to the Delta Quadrant, maybe?
You think so? So they do
yeah.
find the Kazon.
Right. And they run in here with the Kazon. Well, first they land on this planet, and then they get captured, right? Taken prisoner here by Kazons. Kazons with masks. On Voyager, we catch up with Janeway, who sees that the cadets, I guess not cadets, the Prodigy crew, are acting a little weird, even for them.
Rock hates that dirt water.
Yeah, Rock doesn't like your dirt water. That was a good line.
Jamie's just like, I guess it's an acquired taste, and just walks away.
I gotta have my dirt water. Yeah. But they're just eating all these holograms, eating food, even though they don't need to eat.
The Red Squad.
Red Squad just like they're weird.
This Lurian has always got a bit of a shit face on, though. He's like,
Yeah, he's so unimpressed with them.
Yeah.
Then we catch up with now we go back to the Prodigy crew who are dealing with the Kazon.
Maj, who cares?
Maj, who cares? This one was having a hard time keeping my focus, quite frankly. So I'm kind of with you that it was more of the episode I didn't care for.
I watched these 6, 7, and 8 with Edith, though, to see if it would translate to a 3-year-old, and she seemed to dig it because she does like spaceships and things.
Okay, so
Outer base, as she calls it.
Outer base.
Outer base. She likes going to outer base.
Oh yeah, outer base.
Yeah, outer base.
We see all this ship graveyard that's down here below, like this mountain underneath the Kazon guy. What was this about?
Full of ships.
Yeah, I didn't really get that because I thought that was a reference to the race, but then they show the race and they're just different.
No,
The different ships, like they give them little pods. So
yeah, one of them just says we're not the first to land here. Like, other ships have come to this planet, and once you do, you do not escape because you get eaten by the crystal.
Oh, I see. But why are they're Starfleet ships, aren't these?
Yeah, well, at least that one in the front, and
This
that
one
on
over
the
here
side.
looks. This one over here looks like Starfleet, and
they
I don't
know. Been on the NCC something, but I couldn't read it. I just saw that.
That is weird if it's the Delta Quadrant.
yeah. Then we kind of go down to the lower levels here, where they have these piloting ships. Sorry, guys, I didn't retain a lot of my knowledge.
They even look like Star Wars pod racers. I mean, they also look like Kazon ships. Like, I got some Kazon ships here somewhere. Yeah,
but not overly so. Yeah, I'd say like I wouldn't. If you showed me those in a vacuum, I wouldn't put it together that the Kazon.
no, neither would I.
I just didn't really understand I get this more like a filler episode, but also really didn't understand I felt like they were trying to make some emotional development, but I didn't really get it, and it didn't seem resolved. Like it was like between Dal and Gwen, and he seemed like being a total a-hole, and then they were just like, all right, it's done now. And I was like, did you resolve that? Like he almost he caused her to start glitching. He almost got them killed.
Right.
And then they were just like, nah. And didn't address it again. And I was like, wow, what the heck?
Yeah.
At some point, I don't know if it's in this episode or the next one, but he does say like he shouldn't be the captain. He's like,
it's at the end.
That was him seeing the future, though. And he had
future. He says, "I never deserved the chair" or something. Or should have been you.
Yeah, but he's not ready to say that because he's just like, I saw a future I didn't like. So he was not willing to accept at this point in time.
Right. Interesting. So they're going. They had their pod race. Woo! Exciting. I think it's 0. Is this where it happens? Oh my god! There's so many screenshots.
He like Jankum hits the thing and he blows past them and knocks Gwen, almost like phases out because he damages her phase thing, and then
It was a bit of a similar.
Zero overhears
Aesthetic
them
there.
talking, and
Yeah.
Or like to this one.
Dal goes to rescue the other pilot at this point, but they find out it's a robot.
We find out the Kazon guy is like not in control of his own mind or whatever.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
all the other servants are actually fake. They're
not real Kazons.
Yeah.
The robots.
Robot Kazons. What kind of Kazons? And that that the Kazon guy is not really in control, and then Zero and Murph confront him. And
Knock his little chip off.
So he frees his mind, and then they go down into the crystal, I think, next.
Where they find Landru, or
yeah, Landru is here. Which they used to but this originally was like a Kazon pilot training facility.
Yeah.
And that this AI was some kind of a system for that, and then turned malevolent. Is that what
How
happened?
sweet would it have been if it was Agamus?
I will make a whole fleet of murder drones.
I will rule all the Kazon.
Yes.
This one's gonna end up in the little evil computer storage area where Peanut Hamper was, right?
Murder drones. Yeah, Peanut Hamper's great too. She could have showed up.
I didn't realize till Laura Duck like shows me things that I didn't realize how often they had like murder computers on storage.
Oh,
And
yeah.
It's quite a lot.
How often Kirk will
TOS
just talk to
especially.
death. Yeah, Kirk's just like, you're a dumb computer, and then the computer's like, I'm sorry, that it just kills itself.
Yeah.
With simple logic. But yeah, this evil AI is confronted by who starts trying to take them all over, including Murph. I didn't think Murph was susceptible to such things, but apparently
He's kind of weak in these episodes. Like a Kazon or somebody just like holds him down later by his arms. It's like, what? You can't do that to Murph. That makes no sense.
right.
But
That is that's all the time we have time for. We got to explain why Murph got out. He's subdued. So
no crazy Murph fight scene. We don't have time.
yeah. So Zero ends up having kind of a moment here and kind of helping stand up against them, and then they are able to overcome, but Zero's body is damaged in the process, which kind of sets up the next episode. So I guess that's mostly what this episode's for.
Mm-hmm.
They beat the AI. They freed the Kazon guy. He's taken off, and he'll do Kazon things now. And they're back in it. And they kind of remind us about Gwen's temporal unstuckness, and that she's kind of got limited time left. Meanwhile, back at the ending of this episode was the hologram Gwen walking along and glitching. That's picked up on by Magel, who is then follows the hologram, tries to knock while Jane was getting coffee upstairs. But then we see these we'll find out at the loom, but we don't know that at this point when we're watching this episode, that this temporal monster thing is after the hologram Gwen, but then the hologram disappears just in time. And there's sort of a mystery left at the end of this episode. What happened to the Gwen hologram?
I love that they went all in on Wesley's sweater thing so far as to name the big monster after like a loom.
It's just like a sweater. The universe is just one of Wesley's sweaters.
It's the fruit of the loom.
Yeah, it's
Like, isn't a loom something that like stitches things together? It doesn't
Yeah.
thing. Is that okay?
Oh, I love how in the credits, I think I actually took this credit card from the last episode, but it says Rock Talk / Hollow Rock Talk. Right? Yeah,
You don't say.
Murph / Hollow Murph.
Oh,
No.
my.
Anyway, so that's episode 7, The Fast and the Curious. We are now moving on to episode 8. Is there in beauty no truth? Which is, of course, a play on Is There in Truth No Beauty? The original episode from the original series that set up the Medusans. Introduced Medusan in that particular episode.
This one was a nice Star Trek episode.
This one was, yeah, like I thought, very different. Written by Keith Sweet II and directed by Rulin Lee and Andrew L. Schmidt. We are following Zero mostly in this episode, as Zero, I think, makes telepathic contact with this colony of non-corporeals, including Medusans, but not just Medusans. That the shell for Zero is wearing thin after the last battle. So Zero kind of convinces the crew, like, let's go there. I made telepathic content, but I couldn't. They didn't really have a conversation. Which was more just a feeling of somewhere we could go. So the crew decides that they will divert course here and go to visit this planet.
Very pretty.
Very pretty. Looks very interesting. Very cool looking planet. It's got a lot of flowers and yellow fields. As they come down here, and of course they're all wearing their Medusan eye coverage, which apparently even Murph needs to not go insane. And so we find out that these are Medusans who have now taken physical form.
Are they all Medusans? Because they do keep saying and other non-corporeal beings.
I guess they're not all Medusans, but at least a good amount of them are. I don't know if the different eye colors are meant to indicate different types of species.
Well, look, the one in the second from the left there doesn't even look like it has glowy eyes like the rest of them.
They're kind of purplish.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like they're not as glowy as maybe the other ones, but yes, it does have it.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. The main Medusan was kind of an interesting performance and character, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
The one that speaking to very, very, of course, benevolent and nice, and
knows Zero already. Like, oh, you're Zero. You must be Zero, the curious one.
Look, because they made the telepathic contact. Is that why?
I was thinking that maybe like all Medusans kind of know each other.
Maybe.
And among their people, he was the one who was like most curious about the outside worlds or something. I don't know. That's sort of what I got from it, but I could be wrong. It could have just been from the telepathic contact. You're right.
Well, they didn't really explain it all. And we find out that because these Medusans now have physical form, corporeal form, they are enjoying their senses, including smell. And Jankum's like, you can smell my armpits. It's all good.
Riker would love this planet, I feel like. Another Riker planet.
Yeah. He'd be like, oh, let me teach you all about the five
sensation.
Senses.
You like sensations. Yeah.
Especially the sense of touch. So they say you can have the same thing, Zero. You can have corporeal form if you choose it. And Zero doesn't think about it for too long before agreeing to do it.
Well, it's pretty tempting.
Very tempting. Chooses to go through with it, although there's many times that we get like this perspective from Zero inside of the shell, right? And how their voices sound and things like that.
I like it.
Yeah. So I guess part of becoming corporeal means going into one of these like biobed looking things and getting sort of incubated into a physical form, which Zero goes into. And I believe that this other Medusan says, well, are you good? You didn't tell Zero the whole truth. And they say, well, that will come later, right? We'll get to the truth. It's not. We won't hold it from it forever. Just for now.
Just haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah, we just haven't got there yet.
Does feel very Avatar to anyone else? Like,
yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
can't walk. Like Zero starts, they can't walk. Like on Avatar, like he's in a wheelchair.
These like chamber things remind me of Avatars.
Yeah, and then they end up being big, tall.
Lanky things, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you on that. Yeah, I think that's a good comparison. Then the next scene was back on Voyager, with having a game of Parisi Squares here, Davan.
Yeah, I love that we got to see Parisi Squares finally.
One of the most dangerous games going, apparently.
But now you can see why. Like the floors are constantly moving.
Yeah. You know what? It's some you wouldn't want to play it at a young age. We're told, right?
Yeah.
And you can break things and whatever. But it's kind of like the Red Squad against the Prodigy kids here, but they're holograms more specifically, and they end up winning the holograms. And Janeway's very impressed with all this. Well, keep with it, Red Squad. You'll beat them eventually.
It's also 5 against 3. I don't know if that matters in Parisi squares, but you'd think it would.
Especially if you have a Murph on your team,
Yeah.
hologram or not. But yeah, like they're set, like they're kind of still noticing that their personalities are off. And by the end of this conversation, Jane was like, "How about we turn off all of the hollow emitters except for the doctors?" Which of course turns them off, and they go, "Oh no, they were holograms the whole time." And this is the best line from Robert Picardo, where he's like, "I've been thwarted by my own narrative," because apparently this is the story of his hollow novel.
My own narrative brilliance or something like that.
I've been outwitted by my own narrative brilliance or something. It's a good line. And now, where are they? So they now Janeway's on the hunt for them. Back on the planet, we see Zero emerge from the incubation period and with a new physical form, a humanoid body, which will stick. Well, Zero. I thought this would only be sort of. I expected like this to be over by the end of the episode. Like if you leave the planet, you'll go back to being non-corporeal.
That's what I thought too. Yeah.
And I thought, okay, well, this will only last for this one episode, and then we'll be done. But no, they continue with this, into the next 2 episodes. So that surprised me. This form that they take is interesting. It's very different than how I normally think of Zero, which is sphere-like.
Looks like heat leaf from Portal, basically.
Right.
Yeah, something like one of the Portal characters.
Zero's getting used to having a tongue and being able to do all these things, and this Medusan dude is showing them around and all that. And then they say, "Okay, why don't you come to the feast? Come over to the feast of senses.
Come eat all the good stuff and then run without waiting half an hour.
You gotta wait at least half an hour. You don't want that sloshing around your stomach here."
Maybe they're very Roman. They like vomiting. I don't know.
Maybe they do.
They enjoy.
Yeah, it's a theory. So yeah, and then they give Zero the crown of flowers here. What's the crown for? Oh, it's to attract things during the race. We have a race coming up. They got Zero tries the food. Zero
Eats too fast.
Burps. Impresses and scares the crew.
It's like I feel something swelling up within me. He thought it was just like happiness or something.
I think Jankum appreciates his burp, like something like that. I was like, wow, that was a good one. Like, good job.
Yeah, Jenkins always impressed with burps, but the rest of them.
Yeah, he was talking about the odor of it. He's just like, odorous, but he's like,
fragrance, whatever. And then there's dancing that comes next here, as the Medusans start dancing, and then Jankenpog gets even Rock Talk dancing, maybe Murph too. Oh, because Rock Talk's like, "I'm too big, I can't dance." He's like, "Don't let that stop you." For dancing, and then more tension here with Dal and Gwyn, the awkward teenage couple that they are. Talking, kind of enjoying. They kind of have like a nice, happy kind of moment here. Then we're kind of reminded, Gwyn could be, erased from existence in the timeline if they don't figure this out. Dal's drinking a drink he loves, so we'll find out his stomach juice or something.
This is the best thing I've ever tasted.
Yeah. You have a Talaxian chef here. You got that going. Seems like something Neelix would put on the bar. And then they're talking about the race of experiences here. I think by the end of the conversation they realize it's dangerous for Zero to participate in this, that they could die.
Well, because they keep talking about fear. They're like, we love all the sensations like touch, sight, smell, fear. They're like, well, what do you mean fear? Yeah, Like, oh, well, to
Yeah.
us it is. It's very exhilarating. It makes us feel the most alive.
I think they mean adrenaline, right?
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
At this
But,
point, I think they find out that that they can't leave. Right? Is that they're also trying to tell Zero that they're not allowed to leave? I think they figured that out as well.
yeah.
Not yet. Not until the
Yeah?
race is over.
Okay.
And but then nobody who's ever ran this gauntlet and survived ever wanted to leave afterwards.
The running, I think.
Oh, that's what they're saying. They don't want to leave. That's what they said. They don't, after you run this, you
Yeah.
don't want to leave anymore.
You won't want to leave because you'll,
Just too much
seems like-
adrenaline.
you could experience that anywhere, and the fact that your body will. They're saying like Zero after leaving won't immediately lose the body, but eventually that will go away, or break down. How fast that process is, we don't know yet. So it seems like something, Zero could come back here periodically, and
That's what I was thinking. I was like, yeah, just go back. Just top up.
yeah.
leave again.
I don't know how practical that is. It depends. I guess it depends how fast
Works
the,
for Picard on the Baku planet.
it does. Gave him a few more years. But we get this whole run where you basically have to run from a big monster in the sky,
Just
big-
looks like a stingray.
a big, like whale-like stingray thingy.
It definitely has the mouth of like a manta ray.
Yeah, it's filter
Yeah.
feeder. I don't think they even want to eat them. They're just eating the flowers.
Hmm.
They're mostly it's not even a carnivore, but it will suck you up in the flowers, and then you'll be digested for eternity. That we're told.
I guess that's what they think. Maybe they don't know.
I don't think they really know. Well, clearly some Medusans and I guess other non-corporeals who have ascended into physical form have died or have at least been lost inside of this this animal. But that's how it goes. And then they kind of explain this to Zero, but in the process, Dal gets sucked up by this thing, and then Zero jumps right up there and tries to save Dal, and they kind of get a nice view inside of this creature's mouth, looking all around the different sunsets and beauties. But yeah, this episode visually looked amazing.
Mm-hmm.
This planet looked great. Very, very picturesque.
Creepy imagery with the Medusan people too. They were all like kind of
Yeah,
A little
a little
creepy.
unsettling.
Yeah.
But we're mostly led to believe that they're somewhat benevolent.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be a little more sinister than it actually turned out to be. Like I thought,
Yeah.
I thought they would like harvest like Zero or something, but just the fact you can't leave, it's like, it's not that
You
bad.
won't want to leave.
Yeah,
It's kind of, but I guess the real sinister part of it is the deception around, that this isn't a permanent transformation. That we couldn't tell you that until you experienced the fear. Apparently. And
the best stuff.
Zero's answer is the best. Like Zero's like, no, like this is my life, and you should have given me the option to choose or not choose, or how about you just give me all the information and not manipulate?
Like that's not how we do things.
That's
here,
not the
Zero.
Medusan way. I don't know.
what I didn't understand was then does Zero go back to just being like a non-corporeal Medusan, or do they actually die with the body?
I think he'll just still need to put him back in a box again.
Yeah, I think
In a
eventually.
robot suit again.
But you don't want that to happen like sort of spontaneously, where all of a sudden Zero goes back to full Medusan form and then becomes you can't look at them, right?
I bet you that'll happen though. Like he's gonna make someone go crazy when he finally like loses his physical form.
Yeah.
I found this episode was very like, I always marvel at this show. Maybe I have expectations too high at how much storytelling they fit into these very short episodes, but this one actually felt short for once. Not bad, but I felt like it needed a little more breathing room considering that this is like going to continue. Like I guess if it had just ended here and we'd moved on, I wouldn't have noticed it, but the fact that this is going to be a continuing thing for Zero, this made this episode feel kind of short. Like not as I don't know, as grand as I expected, something so changing for the whole show.
Yeah.
This one felt the most like a TNG episode, so could have used that runtime.
Yeah, that's what I felt like. I just need a little bit more time to breathe, I guess. But just a little bit more.
Yeah, it's like they would have had a few more scenes here. There may have been more like conflict and interpersonal drama, more struggle, but we don't have time for that. You know,
Yeah.
it is
Got a
amazing
body
how
moving.
they do fit a lot into these shows. But like like Lower Decks, which has the same runtime. Lower Decks, like, just is the dialogue is so fast
It's
that
jam-packed.
they fit so much in there.
I've never really felt that with this show. This show is always like, I'm always amazed how much of a story they tell in such a short amount of time. But this is the first one I felt like it needed just a little bit more time.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I was into it, and then we come back. So Zero leaves, says goodbye to the Medusans, leaves the planet. Then we go back to our final scene here, back on Voyager, with the hologram Gwyn, who has been sort of reconstructed by the Doctor and Janeway and Tysus and them, and then brought back with the proper personality. But we see that the Gwyn hologram is very terrified. And this is all set up for what is the big monster coming here in the next 2 episodes. It was after me. It was after me. What was? And the fear is paralyzing to this
The
hologram.
tentacles.
The
Those
tentacles.
paralyzing tentacles.
Yeah. Oh no. Like, are you telling me that this temporal being was fooled by the hologram Gwyn though? Like, that's what it doesn't make.
But thinking it was, well,
I guess they were saying
Like-
everybody was, even themselves were fooled by it. So
Right. It depends, I guess, how it works. But yeah, they have to shut the Gwyn hologram off because it's so scared. And then they're left with this mystery, and that's sort of the end of that episode. So yeah, lot to fit in there, right? You know.
good one.
And then we go into our 2-parter. The first of our 2-parters, episode 9, which was. Sorry, what was the finale called here, or the mid-season finale rather? The Devourer of all things.
Galactus.
Galactus himself. Okay, so The Devourer of All Things Part 1, written by Jennifer Murrow, directed by Sung Shin. So the Infinity here is going along in like the hyperspace. Zero with the new body. Gwyn reminds us about her temporal armband thing and how it works, and that she's it's not a permanent solution, and all that's kind of reiterated. And then they end up coming out of like the hyperspace or whatever. Sorry, a lot of talking here. They go to the planet with the temple, which is kind of where most of the action for these next 2 episodes will take place. I don't remember why they come here, but they do.
they were given the coordinates by the mysterious.
Oh, the mysterious ghost, which will turn out to be Wesley, right?
Yeah.
Which we all assumed was Chakotay earlier in the season. But yeah.
Does anyone get the feeling that, like, I don't know if it was just for funsies, but like each episode seems to be inspired by a different sci-fi franchise? Like this one felt very Stargate.
Very Dune.
Or Dune.
Yeah, yeah. So like,
Yeah. Yeah,
it
like
could be.
they are definitely touching all bases and going, for things like. So they end up in this temple. They're looking around. They eventually find this vault. First they find these statues. What were these statues of? Like, I couldn't tell if they were supposed to be people we knew. I don't know. Anyway, if anyone recognizes that, please let us know. But then they find the vault.
Wasn't that one the Traveler?
Is it?
yeah. Or it looks like, with the hair.
Looks like him.
Yeah.
It's the Traveler?
It looks like him.
Oh, so maybe this is where the Temporal Wars battle maybe happened? I don't know. Like, hard to say.
This is like, it's their temple. It's like the Traveler's home base.
Is that what this is? This will be the home base of that? Okay.
Well, it's one of the places they hang out, Wesley says.
And they know that this vault is an Earth vault, more specifically. They can tell by looking at it. I guess it looks like it's from Earth.
German-made rivets, if I've ever seen them.
Yeah, exactly. But then it opens, and it's revealed, guys, it's Wesley.
Wesley.
I'm so glad I didn't get any spoilers for this season. So that was
Yeah.
I'm Wesley Crusher.
I'm Wesley
Wesley Crusher.
I'm Wesley Crusher, and I've been waiting for you.
But we'll get back to him. Then Janeway finds the transwarp conduit. And then, she's like, oh, we can go along here. We see the conversation here with Jellicoe, where Janeway talks to Jellicoe. He was like, I thought I told you to come back to Earth. She's like, you did, but I can't find some of the crew. Some of my crew members are missing. And Jellicoe was like, you can't be worried about that. You can't be going off every time that something happens and whatever. He calls her Catherine, and then she's like, Edward. I can't hear you. She has a kind of a great moment there.
I only
Breaking
have
up.
3 rules when captaining a starship. Keep your shirt tucked in, go down with the ship, and never abandon a member of your crew.
We've heard that before. Good moment here with Janeway. She's going for it. She's like, oh, I can't hear you, Jellicoe. You're breaking up, Edward. And then she hangs up on him. And she's like, what? We're going through a transwarp conduit. That's technically about to be true. And they go into the transwarp conduit in pursuit of them. Then back with Wesley Crusher at the temple as he's trying to introduce himself, explain himself to the Prodigy crew here. This was all very interesting. I enjoyed every minute of it. Just him explaining what he's been up to.
Is it just me, or is his CGI better than everyone else's? He looks better than Janeway and the Doctor. They made him look really good.
I think it's about he reminds me. I thought when he first came out, I didn't know it was Wesley Crusher. I thought he was is this Okona? I was like, is he back? And then I'm like, oh, it's Will Wheaton. Once I heard the voice, but initially, based on the face, I didn't know who it was. The outrageous Okona. Anyway, so I don't know, he still wears sweaters, Mr. Wesley, does it?
Does anybody need a sweater? I have got more sweaters than you would believe.
He's the sweater king. And that jacket. I kind of want that jacket, Wesley Crusher.
Definitely felt like they were setting up a Doctor Who persona there.
Yeah. Yeah. He feels like he's meant to be, I guess, feel like a kind of a similar kind of a character that's beyond our comprehension, has been to places, seen things, knows things that we couldn't possibly understand. Right. But it's kind of eccentric and kind of personable and not. Yeah.
So Q.
Kind of like Q, but
you
not
just described Q perfectly.
Not without the snapping of the fingers abilities and those kinds of things. But obviously very powerful. So they're kind of going along with this Wesley, even though they kind of think he's weird, and kind of messed up. He's like, I'm kind of yada in some of this. He gets them to do all things. They're like, well, are you in Starfleet? He's like, yeah, kind of, but not really. Very separate. He breaks down everything to do here with the different timelines and the different dimensions, and I hope you were following all this, David, because I was trying to track it all. But that there's things that him and a few others go about this thing, so they're talking about how the protostar was changed in its timeline this season and how that's kind of thrown this universe off, but he has to try to save it because it's the prime universe, and therefore this is where his mom lives and he has to save it.
I think there's a disco reference here too. He's naming all the things. He calls the Kelvin timeline, but then also he talks about the mycelial network or something like that.
Yeah, he's like, but you're not supposed to know about that.
Oops, my bad, yeah.
Yeah, there's a few times like that. So I don't know. It was fun. I think Will Wheaton did a good job with all this, and I was in for it. This is much more interesting than it being Chakotay, who was the ghost, which was what we originally thought it would have to be. I knew it was gonna be somebody we already knew, but I wasn't quite expecting this. Although I wasn't completely shocked when they pulled Wesley out either. So if he hadn't shown up in Picard, maybe I would have been more surprised here. But
my only redeeming thing about Picard now is that it got me this. That's it.
Yeah,
Jessica, Geordi was running the Fleet Museum. That's great.
No. Everything else awful.
That part was good.
No, because he didn't talk to his friends in 20 years. Boo.
He did.
He did.
He did. It was just Beverly that wasn't talking. The rest of them were all talking.
Well, but Worf and Picard hadn't seen each other in 10 years.
See?
Well, that's Worf.
Yeah.
Worf and Picard were never that close.
They brought back the Enterprise D. Just that alone was, pretty awesome.
Pretty great.
Sorry, I just remember the Family Guy. It's because you're always hogging all the limelight. Oh, it's been 10 years, 20 years, Michael. Let that go. Sorry. I love that episode.
So yeah, Wesley explains to them that the 6 of them are sort of integral to saving the timeline and saving the universe, and that they all have to stand on these very specific panels in the temple, and that he's got some kind of grand plan and works here, which they're not understanding and they're not fully on board with. But he says, "Trust me, I got this under control."
Also, very Avengers. This he says that he's seen all the possibilities, and there's only one where they win, right?
Right. Yeah, it's kind of like the Doctor Strange thing in Infinity War. Yeah, very kind of a similar thing. Sorry guys, I'm kind of this is where the temple starts shaking and they start because the timeline, everyone freezes here, right? And then only Wesley and Gwen are not affected. In Gwen's case, because she has the armband.
Yeah.
And Wesley has one on as well, but it's on his wrist. So something he's always wearing. He kind of follows along. Finds this little portal, this little like kind of temporal portal thing. He has like a little closet he has just kind of stashed away, where he has a bunch of those different devices that he can grab for the rest of them and run back. But they're, we kind of feel like the fear intensity coming here is Wesley's even scared of what's coming next. And then
This whole thing I tried to look it up for this. This whole thing reminded me of this episode of, I don't know, it was like the Twilight Zone or the Outer Limits. There was an episode where a group of people got stuck in Yesterday. I don't know if everyone remembers this. This is like really, I guess from the 90s. Like the day moved forward, but they were stuck in the previous day, and then like they had these time things that I guess eats the day before, and so they're, like, stuck there.
Sounds like an Outer Limits episode.
Something like that. Yeah, it was like a one-off anthology show. I remember it, but it reminded me of this because that's what they eat time basically, and they were left behind in time, so they were going to get eaten with this day that had already passed. Something like that.
Yeah, it was kind of a cool idea, I guess. Like these creatures, they're called the Loom because they're trying to eat sweaters, the metaphorical sweaters of Wesley Crusher, that they eat dying timelines.
Should have called moths then, shouldn't they?
Yeah,
that's
maybe.
what eats sweaters.
They're like,
they could attack them with mothballs,
like a moth to a sweater.
Yeah, that's what eats sweaters, moths.
Yeah, they were kind of weird looking, like big monster looking things with pink tentacles. And
Michael said they look like axolotls. A little bit.
Yeah, like kind of like a time wraith, like we saw in The Flash. If you guys ever watched that show,
yes.
But like in that show, the Flash changes the timelines, and then these time wraiths come out of the Speed Force and whatever. Wesley apparently has no means of fighting them. He's like, there's no fighting them. And not only will they like kill you, they will erase you from the timeline forever. Kind of like how the Krenim temporal weapon worked, where it could like sort of it could erase your entire existence from the timeline. And that could have major implications.
So what I didn't understand when he was giving this speech about them was that like Dahl's mistake, them going back and leaving the gun for Chakotay, that caused this, or it was always going to happen, that just made it worse? I couldn't really understand.
No, I think they did cause the paradox.
Okay, so this is all their fault, basically.
Yeah.
The entire universe is going to implode because of them.
Right.
Okay.
So they're running away.
You meddling kids.
Yeah. Wesley takes them to another secret room he has, which is like, kind of like the Gary 7 headquarters from, that episode. Kind of but it's only this one room, right? It's not like it's an entire dimension here or something. But the monsters can't follow them here.
Is this a reference? Like, is this Gene Roddenberry's office or something? Like, it's got to be a reference to something, right? That's why.
You've seen the episode Simon Earth with from the original series.
Oh, okay, maybe.
And it's the one where they go back in time for a routine time travel, and they meet up with Gary 7, who's like this secret agent guy who has a secretary that can turn into a cat.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's the set.
It's kind of this set, yeah,
Okay.
and basically what has been explained to us in Picard, and now it's been reiterated here, is that the those like Gary Seven and those, and then there was that not Laris from season 2 of Picard.
Yeah.
Remember that Romulan that he meets?
Yeah. The supervisor.
The
right?
supervisor, yeah, they're kind of like field agents and they work for the Wesley and the Traveler guys and whoever else is on their level. I guess the Time Lords, if you will. And yeah, so I don't know. So that's all. That's kind of what it's a reference to, I think.
Okay, yeah. 'Cause I was like, it's too specific to not be a mock-up of some show, but I didn't know what it was supposed to be.
Yes, yeah. You go back and when we reviewed Assignment Earth back on the original series podcast, at that time I hated it, Jody hated it, but my dad and Adam loved it. It turned into quite the argument that night. So anyway, so Voyager catches up to the planet. They have found the Infinity, and we see that the monsters are here though, and they're ready. And that's kind of like that. Voyager doesn't know what they've walked into here with the situation with Wesley. So that's the end of part 1 of the Devourer of all things, and now we will move on to part 2 and the last of these 5 episodes that we're talking about tonight. The Devourer of all things, part 2. Sorry, it takes me a second to bring this up. That's Doctor Who. There we go. Written by Aaron J. Waltke and directed by Sean Bishop. Okay, so the monsters are coming, guys. They're scary. They're pink. They're tentacles. But then it kind of merges in here with like the lava lamp of The Office with Wesley Crusher, who's loving it here. He's got a mango juice thing going on and an Easter Island.
Moai.
Yeah. The Prodigy crew are just confused mostly through this whole scene. They don't understand where they are, what they're doing. He's like, I just brought us back. I just guessed we were back in 1968.
Apollo 7.
Apollo 7 having just gone up. And sorry.
I found out
you just
what
jibber jabbers.
I found out what I was referencing, what I remembered. It's called The Langoliers.
Oh, that's a movie, right?
It was a mini series based on a Stephen King novel where like they get stuck, like their plane gets stuck and they're in the airport. They get stuck, and these Langoliers are like eating the past, I guess.
Interesting. I've never watched it.
Got like Dean Stockwell in it.
Ah.
Is Michael J. Fox in that, or is that something else?
No.
I'm thinking of the Frighteners.
I'm
anyway.
Pulled that from my brain, but someone referenced it on Reddit. I was like, oh, that's what it is. Okay, it's called The Langoliers. That's what this reminded me of.
The next scene that came after was back on Voyager, where Tysus is preparing an away team to go down and see if he can rescue the Prodigy kids. He's bringing along this other command division guy with him, Middleton, or was he? Nobody ever heard of him. After a while, but yeah, like so this is where Majel volunteers to become part of the away team, wants to help save them all. Somebody else knows about the Langoliers. Yes. Eventually, Majel convinces, with the help of maybe the backing of Tysus, to allow Majel to go on this away mission.
He's like, I will protect her with, like, he says the weirdest shit sometimes, Tysus.
On the honor of my ancestors, or something like that. Yeah, like something an Endorian would say, I suppose. And so, so Magel's going to go with him. So they beam down, Middleton and Tysus and Majel as they're down in the temple, but they're immediately preyed upon here by, like, the Loom, who take on Middleton.
Is this a kid show? Because they murder scores of people in this episode.
That's what I thought. I was like, man, it's getting dark. Holy crap.
Yeah.
It gets dark. Well, even here where like the part where Wesley's willing to let them go, because he can't risk being exposed in that room, right? Middleton gets devoured. And but so Tysus doesn't forget who he is. Only up in on the ship, they forget.
That's what I was
Because
wondering.
Tysus has the arm discriminator. I think maybe that.
Oh, so he's protected from it. You're right.
Oh, I
okay.
thought the ziggurat was maybe like, if you're in the ziggurat, then you are shielded somehow. I don't know. That's what. But yeah, maybe it's the armbands.
Yeah, it makes more sense that the armband would be the reason, So they're, but it doesn't protect you from getting things. So anyway, so Tyson says, "I need an emergency transport," and I keep wanting to call her Talin, but it's Majel. Majel, throws her comm badge out in the middle of the transporter, and so Majel doesn't materialize with Tysus. And they said, I lost Middleton. Who the hell is Middleton? I never heard of him.
I know there was a Middleton.
I know there was a Middleton. I never bothered to learn his first name, but
I loved him.
Yeah, he was the best. But they're kind of figuring out the threat of these monsters. Majel finds the vault thing here. Doesn't find the Prodigy crew. But there is that psychic connection here between Zero and Majel, which Zero does pick up on, and we see here that Majel is in trouble. Oh, Magel's able to use the phone. Ring, ring. Hello? Yeah, it's for you. And then talking to Zero on the phone. Wesley's like, yeah, Magel's in the room, but I can't risk it. And like the Prodigy crew says, it matters to us. You can't let her go. And eventually, I think Dal has to intervene here and actually, open the portal to allow Majel to survive this. Who's then thrown in with Zero, and they have sort of like a moment here with Zero and Majel.
She's like, I like your new face.
Yeah, they can touch each other now. Zero even has some pointy ears, so I'm sure Majel will appreciate that part. So, but now that they've opened the door, now the monsters are after them, and they need to get out quickly. Good thing he has like another secret compartment room ready to go.
How many secret compartments do you have in here? He's like, it's a trans-dimensional hub or whatever. There's like a lot.
Which I guess is even more dark that he was kind of willing to sacrifice her there. There kind of was a way out, but and it turns out that Majel is critical for what has to happen next.
Their two-parters are awesome. It's like the two-parter that ended season 1. They always up the stakes and
yeah. It kind of makes me wish all episodes were kind of like this length, because then we get more story and instead of trying to wrap it up so fast. We see here that the Loom are even devouring the Infinity. So it's not just people; it's also objects. And
it is an ugly ship anyway. I won't miss it.
Yeah, well, it never existed. I never heard of it.
True. Infinity went beyond.
To infinity and beyond. And we see that they're being surrounded by these Loom monsters. Voyager then shows up. Janeway says, "Get away!"
I love the Voyager music that they sneak in when Voyager does something awesome too.
Yeah. Are you getting used to the Voyager A there, Davin?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. It's nice.
It has the silhouette. Like, you can tell it's Voyager. It's not quite as long.
Yeah, it's a different type of ship, but it's kind of, you feel like it's connected. It's like in the same family of ships.
The lineage is there.
Yes. And so Voyager starts attacking these things with the phasers from higher in the sky. Giving them the time.
Get away from my crew. Is that what she approaches too? It's so good.
But then, Winter's saying all of this is reminding me of the early episodes of Voyager, which I just realized I haven't watched in a while, and I suddenly miss it. Hey, go back and watch it.
I think that's what Prodigy's supposed to do.
Prodigy is definitely the most closest thing to a sequel Voyager ever got. So anyway, so then we see these Loom monsters. They attack Voyager. They take out these like officers right off the bat. They're gone. They're firing their phasers to know things. Janeway says, "Fall back to the battle bridge." So we know that Voyager has a battle bridge too. Now,
those two people behind her.
Yeah, they got eaten. They got eaten.
Yeah. Her entire bridge gets eaten, other than her. Like, that's maybe not the best captaining. I don't know. I mean, certainly
I
didn't
mean,
help anyone
nothing
to
works
survive.
on these things, though, right? None of
Yeah,
them
it's true
work
enough.
on
The only
shield.
thing that kind of works is the armbands, and they don't stop them. They just allow you to not be trapped in their like temporal kind of web, so that they can just eat you outright. So, doctor says, "I am a doctor, not an assembly line. I can't just make these temporal armbands willy nilly. They take time."
I like that they
Uh,
took that one joke from the Star Trek movies and they made him like do it
He says
again.
it way more than McCoy's ever said it. You know,
Yeah, because that was the joke in which movie? It was First Contact, right?
it goes
That
back to original series. You know,
No, I know, but it was the joke that he said the line that McCoy always says, but now they're just like, yeah, let's just keep it going.
Apparently, Robert Picardo like ad-libbed that in his audition. I'm a doctor, not a light bulb. With the whole idea when he doesn't get his program turned off.
Isn't it? Is it a Dorse? Or are we talking about the movie or in the show?
This is back in his original audition when he went for the role, and so he ad-libbed that in his audition, and they loved it, and they're like, "You should be the doctor," right? So it just became part of the character.
But they like First Contact was after Voyager was cast,
No.
right? Like no.
First Contact's after Voyager's cast. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like it was a cameo in First Contact, right? Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think the first time he ever says that I'm a doctor, not a doorstop, is in First Contact. I think you're also
Yeah.
But turned out that Robert Picardo was saying it even before that.
Yeah, and he does a lot in Voyager as well. He does use that line quite a bit.
That's it, man. I don't even remember that. I just remember it from First Contact.
There was this whole moment here too with the Red Squad kid who just turns on his armband in time enough to like actually be able to run away from this loom monster. Yeah, the monsters felt kind of scary. They kind of remind me of the squid things in the Matrix too. Like those Sentinel machines, although organic, of course. Doctor sprays a hypo spray in its face.
He's like, take 50 cc's of whatever this
is. But we see that the loom thing also gets out at his mobile emitter, doesn't destroy it, but sends it back to the holodeck. Tysus calls Janeway, "We are losing this fight. We are losing people all over the place.
Half of engineering's missing.
Half of engineering's gone. Yeah, like it's going badly here.
Real bad."
Janeway manages to get out in a shuttle here, and she kind of attacks them and kind of lures them away. It feels
With
like
the Tom Paris move.
I
learned this from Tom Paris.
When else does she show up in a like? I love that it's just like, oh, it's badass Janeway. She's in a tank top now. Like,
yeah, it's tank top Janeway. I picked up on that as well. Yeah, like in Macro Virus.
Right. Yeah. This is when Janeway means business, when she shows off the guns. So but she's getting overwhelmed and chased by the loom, who eventually crash her into the temple. And then, meanwhile, Wesley and them are opening up a portal to this other dimension or something that he's working on. He's like, "Well, the 6 of you are all going to go through, and you're going to, save the day." And well, it turns out 7, but initially, this is the part where he still thinks it's 6. Getting them all to stand on. And this is the part where Dal sees that future where he's like, "I was never meant to be the captain. You were. I was never meant for the chair." I think it's more the exact words. And this is the future he sees, but he doesn't like. But then it's not working. That the 7 of them are not opening up the portal, or they're not coming together the way it was meant to. And then this is where I think Majel says, "I should be part of this. I should be going here."
And something, I can't remember the line. It was like, we're one, together we're one, or something like that. And that's
together. I don't know. And then Wesley kind of gets this idea and says, "I want to test something." And then he says, "Oh no, with the 7 of you, this will work for whatever reason." It has to be
like they're joined, or they're like one together. That's what she said. So it's like that he thought it was 6, but she's part of 0, I guess. I don't know, something like that.
Sure, I will go with it. And it opens up this wormhole-like thing.
I've clarified this before on the show. We call those celestial temples.
Oh, correct. I'm sorry.
Thanks.
It's always a celestial temple inside of a temple.
Is that not the Doctor's console? That's what it is, right? The central console of the TARDIS. That's what I thought it was.
Hold on. Janeway shows up at this moment, and then we get the whole Janeway meets Wesley Crusher, which of course has never happened before. So she knows who he is. by like just by just looking at him. So I guess is he just famous? Is that
I
why?
think he's famous.
Yeah.
I mean, he transcended. That's pretty famous.
She works with Picard though, so I mean,
True.
I guess she'd probably know.
I guess, but like she wouldn't know everyone he's ever worked with, right? Or known. But maybe he's just. I guess
I think he's a famous case. The Wonder Kid who like disappeared with a like weird space entity guy, and like
Well, we saw that Rock Talk knew who he was too, right? So,
Yeah.
Rock Talk was the only one who knew he was.
Yeah, well, I mean that would make sense. She's the new prodigy, science prodigy, right?
She's
So
the prodigy of the prodigies.
She would know about the former science prodigy.
Yeah. She's like, you were made an acting ensign at 15, and da, da, da. He's like, well, not in that order, but yes. And then Janeway says, no, you can't let them go through this portal. I won't let you. They'll put them in danger. And he's like, it's actually their call. And then they're like, yeah, we're going to do it. We're all going to go up. And we're going to go in and do this. And so, I don't know. Janeway can't really stop them. And she's like, okay, whatever. Good luck. As they're all going off into infinity and beyond, perhaps, here as they go through. And then Janeway, and seems like she's going to stand, and fight with Wesley here. But Wesley just throws her through a portal and throws her back onto her ship and even puts her jacket back on.
No, I think it's a time portal. That's what I got from this. All those people we saw die are there. He reversed her back in time.
How?
Because he can do that.
He could do that, I think. Because if you look,
time and space and thought are all the same to him.
All the people that got eaten are there on the deck. Everything's fine.
They're not dead.
None of them are dead.
Time, space, thought.
Just thinking.
But she can still remember all of this.
She has an armband.
I guess, yeah. Or he would make sure she does.
She doesn't have an armband, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess he has the ability to make her.
He just reversed time for her, I guess, or for the Voyager, essentially.
I think she should have kept the tank top on here. But anyway,
because they're supposed to signal that he basically just kind of rewound her to the point where the ship had just arrived.
But not changed her memories.
No, I think she still knows what's going on, but she rewound.
She still needs her to do things. Like she's still going to react to what's happening.
Yeah, but see, all of those people got eaten, so they wouldn't.
If he can do anything, why? Like he's here. He's like, okay, I'm going to use my power of thought. And
I think this was his last ditch thing. I think so. Probably that was him using his last bit of something to.
Did he survive this, or did?
I don't know. As soon as it was left to Janeway and Wesley, I was like, "Oh, one of them is gonna die." like, someone's dying here. I don't know who it is.
Why didn't he put himself on Voyager, or he had to stop them? He had to stop these monsters or whatever. Okay,
because they would have just boarded Voyager as it happened before. So he basically reversed her in time and then blew it up before they could board the ship like they did before.
Got it.
Essentially,
I don't think he's dead. I don't think you yell time, space, thought just to blow something up. Like, that's not like
he'll just regenerate.
But
he's somewhere else.
He kind of for now he's out of the picture. It seems.
Like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
And then we see where they go through that portal. Dal wakes up here with the other six. They're in like this desert thing, and then they see it. They see the protostar. Are they up in the clouds? What's going on here?
They're
like on a sand dune in the middle of the clouds or something. Or maybe it's just fog. We see that the protostar is looking a little weathered here.
Rusty,
yeah. But who do we see? It's him, and he's grown a beard. Everybody.
He's far from the bones of his
ancestors and his grandfathers. And that is our final shot for episode 10.
Yeah,
so we did it. We talked about all 5.
That shot definitely, that's what to me felt like, there you go. There's your like season finale kind of feeling. Like that definitely felt very, ooh.
Yeah. Like it's always like amazing to me still how little Chakotay we've gotten in a season and a half so far. We've had probably 3 scenes.
Maybe they met Robert Beltran and they didn't like him.
Well, there's some historical precedent for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, guys, let's get into our ratings. Let's talk. Put down some numbers here on these 5 episodes and see how they go. All right.
I think Tuvok would have been a better choice for this series. Anyway,
That she's trying to save Tuvok than
yeah,
Chakotay.
the relationship's better. Tuvok's a better character. Tim Ross is awesome as Tuvok. Yeah, I would have made it Tuvok. Maybe it's
But Picard used him, so I mean, I know this is before Picard, but I guess
that we
Tuvok.
never saw him. We only saw
fake Tuvok.
yeah.
But they did give him a position. So
Well, we did see real Chakotay, real Tuvok at the very, very end, right?
Oh,
When
right.
Just to let us know he wasn't dead.
Hmm.
Okay, sorry.
I
So
feel like it had to be Chakotay because they were. I get the feeling if these are Voyager fans, they're trying to smooth over that stupid 7 of 9 thing. That's what it is.
That's a good idea.
which one in particular?
Imposter Syndrome.
Okay, Imposter Syndrome. Let's put some numbers down, guys.
I'm gonna say 7.5 for me.
7.5 for Jessica. Okay.
I remember.
Davan?
it.
7.
7. I was mostly confused by it, so I'm going 6.5. And this has a 8 on IMDb right now. So
Good.
figure that out. And so we're averaging a 7. It has an 8 and a 7.5. Okay. The Fast and the Curious. Davin's favorite episode.
4.
4 from Davin. Jessica.
I'm gonna say it's 6. Yeah, it was not my favorite, and just for filler, it didn't even have like just the storytelling didn't feel very good.
Completely forgettable for me. I'm going 4 as well. Maybe one of our lowest rated episodes ever on this show. And it's not even bad, it's just nothing to me.
It's just a nothing burger.
Yeah.
So The Fast and Curious has a 7.8 on IMDb. All right. Then we move on to Is There in Beauty No Truth?
This one's really nice. I'd give this
It's
one
nice. I give it an 8.
an 8. Yeah, same.
Devin
Yeah,
gives it an 8.
We're in sync tonight.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8 just because I'm gonna go up with the next 2, so I have to
Yeah.
have somewhere to go.
Has an 8.3 on IMDb, so the highest of the 3 we've talked about so far. And then The Devourer of All Things Part 1. I liked this up. I like Wesley Crusher. I think was a great addition here. So I'm going 8.5 for that.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think in my mind where episode 1 and 2 separated.
They separate when Voyager shows up at the planet.
Right.
I'm gonna go 9. That's a 9 for me.
Yeah, me
9.
too.
And a 9 and a 9.5 for the next one, just because I felt like it was good. I
Oh,
like
that's me. For you, sorry. 9.5.
Well, up just because
I'll go. I felt about the same about the 2 of them. Actually, I probably liked the earlier one more. So I'm gonna give 9 to Part 1 and an 8.5 to Part 2 because I feel like it was a little less for me on Part 2.
9.
I'm basing it off the awesome Janeway, tank top Janeway, all
Tank
the
top Janeway.
liners.
I can't argue with that.
Hakuchimoya.
Kuchimoya.
And just that last scene of Chakotay on the ship with the sun setting and the dune was really nice.
It was cool.
Like if that was a season finale, I'd be like, yeah, I'm good. That was a good. I'm good. That was a good ending.
So Part 1 has an 8.9 on IMDb, and Part 2 has a 9. So take that. Oh. All right. So
trend wise, we're about the same, even though we didn't rent as low. People we're kind of on the same way with it.
Yeah, we're on the same wavelength, roughly. Of course, it's been out since July 1st. It is now July 11th, so they've had a few days for more so than when we were usually doing a fresh review of an episode. And so of those 5 episodes we talked out tonight, we're probably averaging somewhere in the 7s. So, for the season so far, we are averaging a 7.3. Now, Chris Murphy, he'll put some big numbers up here when he votes. But
apparently he thinks it's the greatest thing he's ever saw.
It's the greatest Star Trek he's ever seen, apparently.
I mean, we're not good enough to show up to a podcast about it.
not that good. But
No.
what I have noticed, having done that last Airbender thing with Murphy, is
Yeah.
he really likes cartoons.
Yeah, he does like cartoons and animes.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not saying you shouldn't like Prodigy, Murphy, but why do you have so much passion for it? So
Every
I just
two
want.
picks on Hold Up is an anime movie with Murphy, but he just does it to make me watch them as well. But
I like anime. Anime's good. Good. I think what it stands out. It's fresh because, I mean, except for Lower Decks, so those are the two on par. Is like, but Lower Decks is more referential, so I think they don't go outside the box. Whereas Prodigy's not so referential, so you get to play around with things that normal Star Trek doesn't because of the budget reasons. Every like alien is very anthropomorphic and like 2 legs and 2 arms, and everything has to be kind of in a certain way. Whereas this one can play a little bit more with.
Oh, yeah.
With aliens and planets and stuff like that.
Star
You're
Trek
right,
can
there-
always lend itself well to like comics and cartoons for that reason. Like you can
just imagine more. You can demonstrate or you can bring your imagination more into reality. Whereas a TV show or movie might have limitations. That's too expensive to do that. It's whatever.
Like reading the old Deep Space Nine comics are kind of shocking because Odo actually turns into things. Like I'm like, yes, he's a shapeshifter. Like he turns into crazy things in like every issue. It's just like, but he never does on the show.
He turned into a glass once or twice,
once. Turned into a suitcase once.
or a tray.
I mean, I gotta say, I'm disappointed in their budget. I mean, I watched The Secret World of Alex Mack in the early 90s. She transformed all the time. Like, come on. Up
Come
your
on, if
budget.
Alex Mack can do it, why can't Odo?
I didn't know she had transform powers. I didn't watch that show.
You didn't want, yeah, she could turn into a metallic puddle of goop and go under doors.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was more of a fan of My Secret Identity with Jerry
Me too.
O'Connell. Yeah.
Did not watch that one.
With
Horrible for
Ultraman.
the environment though. All those CFCs.
Had Crewman Shell was the scientist guy.
Oh, was he? That was Crewman Shell. Wow.
Yeah, same guy.
I spent 4 years in the States, so I feel like my stuff trends more to like Nickelodeon than most Canadian kids because I got all the Nick shows from
Yeah,
like
that American exposure.
Yeah, from like 94 to 98, I got all the Nickelodeon stuff. So
could be.
yeah.
You watched Degrassi? Or did
No, see, I didn't get Degrassi. I got Nickelodeon and like Nick at Night and like Hey Dude and all these shows, the Legends of the Hidden Temple, all these things that no one's heard of up here.
I've never heard of those. No, I grew up with Canadian. I grew up with Fred Penner and
Yeah, Mr. Dress Up.
Put your shorts and Pete and Pete. Oh, I did that because I was, that's
before. I guess I'm going earlier. No, I guess.
yeah.
so.
I got
We're
Mr.
talking-
Dress Up. Yeah.
But I watched a few American things, of course, like whatever was on YTV at the time, which was like Rocco's Modern Life and other things.
We got Are You Afraid of the Dark, and I was always because I was missing Canada, so I was like, look, it's a YTV show. Yeah.
Are You Afraid
I
of the Dark?
recognize all these actors from other YTV properties.
The main guy from Are You Afraid of the Dark? Like I call this Media of the Midnight Society open. He would throw the stuff on the fire. He's now like a weatherman on CTV. Yeah,
What?
yeah. I was like, that's Are You Afraid of the Dark guy?
Like the nerdy guy, like the white guy.
Yeah, with the glasses.
Yeah.
He
was
was
like,
do student bodies, and then he was that. No, wait.
Maybe, but like his face is so distinct, and I was like, that's him. Like
Yeah,
and
that's
it totally
funny.
was him. Yeah, so he found life after Are You Afraid of the Dark, if you can believe it. Well, guys, so we'll wrap up for tonight. The next 5 episodes, just to talk about the titles, they are The Last Flight of the Protostar, Part 1 and Part 2. That's where we'll start. Then we'll go to A Tribble Called Quest. It's
Nice.
kind of a fun
Gotta
title.
have a Tribble episode and everything too.
Like a Tribe Called Quest, a Tribble Called Quest.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Cracked Mirror, it will be the one after that, and then we will actually kind of finish in the middle of something because we have Ascension Part 1.
Oh my!
Oh no!
If we're feeling like we can't end at Part 1 and we have to go to Part 2, just let me know.
Okay, now I'm like, do I
How many parts is there?
Part 1 and Part 2.
Okay.
do I stick to the integrity of our 5-episode format and stop, or do I continue on?
Well, I guess it depends, but like I think
Oh,
we
you
could
were
try-
under the impression we had integrity here.
structural
I
integrity.
mean, after all your anger at Murphy watching the whole thing, so
He watched the whole thing and then didn't show up.
Said it was the best ever. Didn't even give us a comment. Anyway.
We hope you're alive, Murphy.
And we got eaten by the time things.
We hope you're with us. Okay, well, we'll sign off for tonight. Make sure to check out all of our great stuff here on Live Long and Podcast if you're still here. Of course, we have our Orville reviews on Monday nights. Star Trek The Next Generation Tuesday nights. We finished up Discovery not long ago. We're, of course, doing this. And I guess I don't know what next show will be back. If it will be Strange New Worlds or Lower Decks next. But whenever that comes out, or the new Starfleet Academy show that's going into production, we'll be talking about one of those. Of course, we just did Debate 9 last Friday night. I was on with Jessica, Davan, and Heather.
It's a good one.
Go back and listen to that. And look out for
You fall in the flowers, you're dead.
Look out for a Live Long and Podcast Olympics in the near future. We might be doing something for the different divisions.
If I can convince everybody.
Just tell them they got to come.
My machinations run wild.
Yes, and then everything, of course, in the United Federation of Podcasts. Go listen to that stuff. We'll plug all that at the end. But guys, I have a great quote here to go out on for the evening. Or do I? Sorry. Yes, here it is. We'll see you next time. Live long and podcast, everybody.
When I was a young man on the Enterprise, I met an advanced being called the Traveler. He was part of a secret faction of explorers who watch over the cosmos. Very cool. They invited me to become one of them, helping where we could by manipulating reality itself with the powers of space, time, and the most overlooked variable, thought.
There you go. See you next time, everybody. Ooh, there.
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.